Well, first of all, Adam, just really, how are you doing, and how's this sort of cancer journey you've been going?
It's been really eye-opening. I had not had a personal brush with cancer really close in my life, and I know almost everyone has. That's what's been eye-opening, because the response from the community has been, I went through this, or my husband went through this, or my father went through this. And so everyone has a story, everyone has an experience, had a lot of great advice. I'm having dinner tonight with someone who went through the same cancer 10 years ago, for example, and it was very helpful throughout my treatment and recovery. And so very eye-opening. I think if your life's not changed by something like this, then you've got a problem. So hopefully you come out of this, if you're cancer-free, if you get obviously the benefit of the treatment and it works, you ought to have a blessing for the rest of your life, which is appreciating people more, appreciating each day more, all that. And so that's what I hope I've gained when I got the all clear last week. It was the day before I got on the plane to come over here. My PET scan results came back all clear, cancer-free. Just have to monitor every so often. So it was a tremendous blessing, and I've learned a lot, and hopefully that'll serve me well going forward. I think one of the things I've learned is that the Saints family is there for you, and they've been really tremendous in their encouragement, support, prayers for me throughout the way, and I certainly want to repay that down the line with my devotion to the club.
I mean, what was it like to be able to get that news and then come back over here and taking your first Saints game for a while, and with your dad as well?
Yeah, it was Dad's first time at McDermott Park, first time in Perth, so that's very special. And then to come to McDermott, have the embrace of everybody, just walking around before the game, and then obviously to have a game that was truly a magical experience with an exhilarating comeback win right when we need it, both in the game and in the season. And so it was just about as good as it could have been scripted in Hollywood. So I don't know what I would have done differently, but maybe we would have played better throughout and won by a couple more goals. But it was absolutely a storybook ending.
And just sort of moving on to more football side of things, just how do you feel that do you feel the club is going in the right direction at the moment, despite what we say the league position?
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. It is, and it's shared. This is what is crazy to me is that I've been watching the football, obviously from afar, but Saints TV is a fabulous product. You're really able to see the action. You see the replays. You hear good commentary. Obviously, I'm texting constantly with people at the club in Perth and people, other investors, and we are all of the same mindset, as are the fans that I've spoken with here, that things are going in the right direction. So despite the results, and it's because we're watching the football, and what you see is that Simo has made a change. It's a good style of football. It's a fun style of football, and it's working. Obviously, there have been some lapses. That's what's going to happen when you try to change a system. And so now he's bringing in some of his guys that have a little bit more of the natural characteristics that'll flow in his type of game. And so we're going to back him, as we said we would, which is maybe not the best financial move, given our league table status, but it is the move that we feel we owe it to this community to give it a go. And so we certainly think we're going to have the tools in place for this stretch run here to survive in the Premiership. So I think it is going in the right direction. Having sat down now and broken bread with Simo, I absolutely think he's the right guy. He connects with people, and he connects on so many levels, not just with the community, the staff here, the players, other coaches. Everyone wants to win for Simo, and I think that combined with his work ethic, which is second to none. You put it all together, and you really have what we hoped, but you never know until they're in. The connection is there, the chemistry is there, the work ethic's there, and so we're going to get there. Can't say exactly when, but we will get there, and I think it will be with Simo. And so everyone here is unified. Everyone in the community that I have spoken with is unified behind Simo. I know the run of results was not good, and that might spell some coaching controversy. But I think that has been squelched, should have been squelched, never should have started, because we got to give him the time to do his thing.
And obviously, Simo's been your first appointment, managerial appointment since you've kind of taken over the club. And how did you find that process, and how do you sort of approach the management side of things? Is it just sort of leaving, Simo and the rest of the guys to it, or do you like to try and be involved a little bit?
It was fascinating. It was fun. I have had an ownership interest in another club, so I've been through it, but I wasn't the one, making the final call before as a minority investor in a club. And we've gone through a couple of coaches down at Cambridge United. So I'd seen the process, but this was very intense. Frankly, it was a lot of fun. It's a little excitement, it's a lot of fun. And it ended up with such a great result. Kind of outside the box result, which I like too. We're going to do a lot of different things at this club. We've always vowed we're going to try new things here. We're going to be open about it, and we're going to try new things. And I think Simo is not the safe choice, but he's the right choice. And so that was interesting. As to how much I get involved into the football, it's very little. I'm not a football expert. I think maybe I'll grow more. Obviously, I've been watching a lot of football, a lot of UK football for about 5 years. It's not enough. You need your 10,000 hours of something to become an expert or to become really good at it. And so I leave the football to the experts, but I do, when there are important decisions to be made, put a thumb on the scale one way or the other. If it's a close call, if Simo wants to do something, we're going to pretty much do it. If Gus and Simo see something recruitment-wise that they want to do, we're very likely to do it. Obviously, we have to be financially responsible. That's our main objective. As far as style of play and lineups and that thing, obviously, I'm not involved in that. I will jokingly tell Simo my preferences, and he knows that he should disregard that whenever warranted. So, but do I have my opinions? Absolutely, and I will voice them in close quarters. But Simo is in charge of the ship.
And you sort of mentioned it a little bit there just before in terms of backing Simo and obviously this transfer window at the moment, and given the league position, as the amount of money available being slightly reduced, just as a sort of precaution, or are you trying to give as much backing as you can?
We have been overly generous with Simo and Gus from a business perspective, which is not something we want to repeat on an annual basis, but it's important to come in the first year of ownership and do whatever you can to show the fans. I'm not saying we're going to stay up, but you're showing the fans we tried. And we've done everything we can. I know in my heart we've done everything we can. Okay? We've brought in a great coach. We're giving him what he needs to bring in the players he wants. We're not saying no as much as we probably should. And so that's important in year one. I don't think that'll be the case in every year because you have to run a sustainable club. But for now, we back Simo. We give him the tools he needs, and the people will trust that we have the best interest of the club at heart.
And is there a plan in place, or the potential to put a plan in place? If results don't go perhaps the way that you all hope, and relegation does become a realistic possibility.
We have to, as responsible business owners, plan ahead. And so one of our big objectives this week while I'm in town is to start the planning process. So we have the budget and championship modeled out. Obviously, we're going to lose a lot of money. A lot of revenue is not going to be on the table. And so we have to adjust accordingly. Obviously, a lot of player contracts automatically reduce. You got to start to think about, what type of signings you'll make in the window in the summertime. What are ticket prices going to be? How are we going to do commercial? Some sponsors are going to want to have deductions, right, because they're not in Premiership anymore. And so budgeting for that, accounting for that, planning for that is a big obligation. I don't want to go too far though, because I'm frankly upbeat. I think we've got a decent shot. 7 points adrift at this phase with 9 games in the first phase and 5 games in the second phase. And pretty good feelings around here, momentum, new players coming in. Not a huge injury burden on the club right now. Obviously, we've got a couple guys out, but, for the most part, we're healthy, we're fit, we're optimistic, and so I'm not overplaying that, but we are absolutely going to be preparing because you have to.
And obviously 2 great results back to back, and like you mentioned there, there does seem to be a positive feeling amongst the fan base around the club and the team, and backing Simo, and obviously despite some of the previous results on the pitch, are you feeling that things are quite positive, overwhelmingly positive here at St Johnstone?
I was going out to dinner last night, and the doorman at the facility was a Saints fan, former season ticket holder, but now his work obligations don't allow him to come to the park on Saturdays. So his daughter is still a season ticket holder, and I asked him his opinion, and the reason I say it's just a microcosm of just about everyone I've asked around town. That's dozens of people now, and everyone's upbeat. Everyone knows that Simo has that chemistry with them as a fan base, and they see him on the pitch with the players. And so I feel like the attitude is justifiably very upbeat. It makes no sense if you look at the table. It's totally irrational if you look at the table, but if you watch the interviews, if you see the style of play, if you are watching the big picture, you absolutely see that things are actually heading in the right direction. So we've had some bad luck. We've had some VAR controversies. We've had a couple of lapses of play that have cost us several points. Who knows where we'd be, right? If you replayed everything for the last 2 months, who knows where we'd be? But I think people see the big picture, and I give the fans credit. They're watching, they're seeing the whole picture. They're not just looking at one narrow slice of what it does to be a club. So for now, and it won't last forever if the results don't go, I understand that. But for now, everyone is on board the Simo train.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you, if I may, about sort of plans for the future in terms of, I know you were looking to open a museum in the town and sort of just get the club's name sort of around town rather more than it is at the moment. And I wondered how all that's going.
It's going fabulously. It's a very timely question. Yesterday, I was down for my first time at our new downtown shop, which is on High Street, and that will be opening, we hope. You never can mandate how work and that type of thing will go from contractors and joiners and such, but we should have it open by June. And so we're going to have a downtown shop in a very prominent location, beautiful frontage. It's got some great signage opportunities where it'll kind of pop to the High Street. And then you're going to walk through the shop to a very nice museum space in the back, which will have the chronology of the club, 140 years of the club. And obviously we have loads of great memorabilia. We're never going to be able to show it all, but we can show some in this museum. And then it's also going to have space for the community trust, where they can have events and meetings downtown, which is going to be great because being all the way out here at McDermott sometimes is not as conducive to having efficient meetings and that type of thing. So it's an incredible space, and that's going to happen. And so what do we get from that? We get a better relationship with the local folks. Plus, you're walking from the Perth Museum to the Art Museum, and you're going to come by our museum. And our hope is that we will expand the international fan base over time. Getting folks into the store, into the museum. They're going to buy some merchandise. They're going to give it to their kids and their grandkids. They're going to wear our gear. They're going to research the club online. They're going to play our team on FIFA or what have you, right? And they're going to have an affiliation with our club. So maybe that's a dream, but over time, if we stick with it, that's our goal. So Other ideas at the club, I mean, we've just got so many going, but obviously we've got a lot of plans. We're certainly going to add the elevator, right, that we talked about. We're going to improve the parking that we've talked about. We're going to, obviously, we've already done the digital scoreboard, the electronic scoreboard, which is a loved element of the stadium now. You know, more signage, more fan day experience. We'll have a little fan zone out here for a game in March to sort of sample it, see how that goes. But we want to, obviously, with the Scottish government and the local government, we need more opportunities to have a better fan experience on game day. Obviously, sell more beer. That's part of it. And so I think that's a movement that has reached its time. And so I've had good follow-up, good feedback on that issue. We're going to have, 70,000 people down in Edinburgh on Saturday drinking beers, watching rugby. Mm-hmm. And here we are, we're going to be at St. Mirren, and we'll be lucky to get a pint. And so it's not fair, it's not right, and obviously that's got to change. And we're working, obviously, with other clubs and other folks to make sure that the discrimination against football fans is not going to continue for that much longer. And obviously there's situations where that may be appropriate, but for your average game, you know, St. Johnstone versus Kilmarnock, why can't folks enjoy a beer? That's silly.
And does this kind of lead to a kind of learning, Scottish football learning from American pro sport to some extent as well?
I think everyone understands what America does better in sport. And obviously we understand that UK does some things better in sport. The community dedication to this team here is richer than in America. But the game day experience is better in America. And obviously in America, it's not unusual to go out to the game 6, 7, 8 hours earlier than the kickoff, and to tailgate and to have a really good, fun day out and really add to the experience. And that does two things. It deepens the commitment to the sport and to the club, but it also raises revenue for the club, whether it be parking, whether it be sales, whether it be merchandise, obviously coming out and doing a fan zone, beer garden, those type of things. That brings revenue into the club that helps put a better team on the pitch. And so, yes, we learn from America, and obviously we don't replicate everything because some things are better here. But we try to replicate through a fan zone, through a better fan experience, some of the things that America does better.
I think that really answers the sort of next question was, if there was one thing in Scottish football that you could change, what would it be?
Well, I've certainly already said the main thing, which is the discriminatory treatment toward football fans, which has no rational basis in this day and age. What else would I change about Scottish football? I think it is, people show up for the game. A lot of people show up right at game time or maybe 15 minutes before, and they're out right after. And I would encourage them to say, you know what, block off your whole Saturday. Let's come out here about 11:30 or noon, and let's stay after the game too. If you're not too disgusted with the result, stay after. Maybe if you're unimpressed with the result and you want to drown your sorrows, stay after. And all of that is not only fun for you, but it's also great for the club.
And the one thing about the club at the moment is it has a terrific crop of youngsters, so dependent on what happens later in the season. The future looks good anyway.
I don't, once again, pretend to be a great analyst of football talent. And so, but I'm very pleased that both Simo, Gus, and Alistair, our head down at the academy, are very pleased with some of the younger guys. We've got young guys in the first team right now, and we got young guys banging on the door to the first team. I will say there's quite a bit of interest in a couple of those guys, and so can we keep them around? Should we keep them around? These are difficult decisions that we have to deal with in the coming weeks and months. When you're in our type of position, right? Do you stick with a guy and hope that he's going to be a real difference maker down the line, or do you perhaps let him go so that you can make some other budget priorities move forward. So those are difficult decisions. Those are fun decisions in my way of thinking. Obviously, we have to get them right for the most part, and so that's a challenge for us. But I think having a good academy and a good youth program feeding up is one of our top priorities over the years. To give the resources, to give the facilities, so that the youth are a little bit stronger, a little bit better. More people are encouraged to come here and play. I tell you that I met the parent of a great young player in Atlanta, and they actually are over here training with us right now. 14-year-old kid from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So, we want to encourage great players to come here and work their way up our system. Obviously, you have to give the resources to make that happen, and we'll do so. It's hard when you're challenging. I know, for example, Celtic and Rangers are going to spend several million pounds a year on their academy, and what can we realistically spend? A fraction of that. But it's very important for us to do the best that we can do with it.
Sound Radio.